G'day, my name is Joel Rasmussen for Southern Cross Combat, and I'm talking to your TUF finalist. I'm talking to Mr. Kaan Ofli. Kaan, how are you, my friend?
I'm great, brother. I'm great. Over the moon, bro. Obviously, the fight had already kind of happened, and I had to kind of keep the information on the down low, which was a very hard part of it. But yeah, now that the information's out, I'm almost celebrating again. But the job isn't done, so still on my mission.
Of course, and talking about that, first off, as always, I always thank you for the time because it is always a pleasure. But also, today must have been hectic for you, so I doubly appreciate the time.
All
How
good.
has the day been now that everyone knows?
It's been hectic, still obviously juggling training and errands and just getting back to everyone with their messages and all their support. It's been a bit overwhelming, but it's all great things. It's all amazing, and yeah, it's still going. Yeah, so no, it's all good.
How you were training earlier today, I believe. How was the feeling now in the training room? Of course, as you said, you've known, but now the gym knows.
Yeah, yeah. So some people knew. Well, they didn't know anything. But watching it back was kind of nice. Yeah, it was just nice to rewatch it. I didn't even watch it too, so that was the first time me watching the fight. So uh yeah, the whole experience is really so bizarre and cool.
We talked about that when I last spoke to you before this had all aired. You talked about setting up watch parties. I'm sure you're no stranger to the leadership role in a gym because when you're in Melbourne, you're a leader, and when you're over there, you're a leader. But when everyone's in the gym gathered around watching you, like, what is that like?
Yeah. One of the guys said it today. He's like, "And I'm watching TV and then I look down and the guy is right there in front of me. So I think everyone's like really proud of me and it feels nice that I've got so much support from, Australia, Turkey, America, Bali. So yeah, it's still overwhelming, but I'm trying to still keep my composure and not get too excited or celebrate right now because there's still some work to do.
Of course, anyone who knows you knows that hardworking attitude. When you have those moments and you are watching yourself back, what are you thinking? Like, can you remember what it was like to be in there when you're watching it back, or are you kind of taking that spectator position as well?
Definitely taking the spectator position and when I'm watching myself talk because it's all the first time and yeah, it's all a kind of a blur when you're doing the Ultimate Fighter. There's just so much going on and obviously yeah, you've got cameras and stuff in your face 24/7. So I was always nervous, like what did I sound like? What did I say? What did I do? What am I being portrayed as? So there was always that little element in it. So then watching it back, I'm just happy and proud of myself with how I carry myself and the confidence that I've got now as a fighter. Um, and it's only growing. So yeah, and I hope the audience feel the same.
I have to say, it's so funny comparing when I talked to you before the show because it felt like we both had to be so, I didn't know anything, but I was just excited for you. But so reserved, and it's so nice to see like ear to ear grin on you right now. That's not a question, but I just wanted to say it's awesome to see how happy you are and how excited you are.
Thank you,
Uh,
Ella.
Talking about that excitement, for those who haven't seen it, it was a first round finish, first round sub gets you into the finale. Right after you get that sub, under it was 31 seconds, I believe. You jump up and you yell, "Give me a bonus." Did you get that bonus?
I told them to work on it, so maybe they're still working on it. It's still pending. So yeah.
After that as well, you also busted out Sui. Are you a particular big Ronaldo fan?
Like I don't watch soccer too much, but out of all the, when I was young, yeah, Ronaldo was one of my favorites, and it was funny. I got no idea where the hell that came out from. Besides, one of my best friends, Todd, he's got a son, Ace, and he's a huge soccer fan, and he would do it every now and then. And I don't even know where the hell that came from. It was just so much excitement, so much pure joy that I was just like trying to translate that into body language, and that's what you got.
In the show, like that overwhelming emotion is shown. There's this, it was a really, like, I think, beautiful moment where you're backstage and you're just repeating to yourself, I'm so happy. I'm so happy. But if you can, like, verbalize it, what is rushing through you during that moment when you lock up that submission, you get the tap? What is going through your head?
the the initial thought was literally like, fuck, that was easy. And and I was kind of expecting a war, I was expecting someone to come and, make it really hard. And I was willing to go all 4 rounds. So when it happened so smoothly like that, that was the initial feeling like, you know, fuck, that was clean, fuck, that was good. Uh, and then followed by just a surge of happiness, a surge of joy, knowing that I'm in the finals and that this is on the back of over 12 years of fighting.
I can't imagine what that must feel like. Uh, if you can take me through it, the literal moment when it presents itself. I know you just said there what went through your head was, well, that was easy. May shock you when I say this, Khan. Me, never been in a pro fight. Um, but when that opportunity presents itself, when he shoots in on you and you can see the guillotine, like, I understand you're in the moment, but what goes through your head? Are you throwing that up thinking you're going to get it? Are you throwing it up as a defense?
When I say like, I was feeling like, oh, that was so easy, this also like confirms that I have to be even more confident in my abilities than what I am now. I'm still humble, and it confirms my level, and my ability to fight. Nathan was regarded one of the most top prospects, in out of England, out of Paddy the Baddy's gym and all that stuff. And even on the show, I forgot we had that conversation, and he said, "Hey, mate, like I think I'm pretty good, and you smashed me." So I think I need to believe in myself more, and know that these easy fights are going to happen. And they're not easy fights. They're not shit opponents. They're all high level opponents. Rudy was an Olympic level wrestler. He was also the head wrestling coach of Phuket top team as well. So, um, but again, I visualized this. I spoke it into existence. I knew that a wrestler has got a tendency of lifting up their neck and doing a lot of scrambles, which presents their neck for me to grab. So I did say it. I called it, and it happened that way. Like he actually, like, when the fight started, right before we walked out, we were told that it was 3 rounds, and then literally as we're walking out, they said, "Hey, there's been a change of rules. This is a 3 round fight with a possible four." And immediately I got nervous because I was like, "Whoa, like you guys just kind of switched that up on us," you know what I mean? Uh, and then to be able to cope with that feeling, I just said to myself, "You know what? I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck if I fight 1 round, 3 rounds, 4 rounds, 5 rounds, 10 rounds. Like, I'm here to win, and I'm gonna do whatever it takes." So when the fight started, I literally, I didn't actually do much. I had eye contact with him, and you won't be able to feel this or see this from a spectator's point of view, but I was literally looking at him saying like, "What are you gonna do? Like, what do you want to do with this fight? Do you want to strike with me? Do you want to wrestle with me? Like, you know what? I'm going to give you the lead." And I heard his corner say, "Be first, Rudy, be first." And I don't know if this is all in my head, but this is all milliseconds. And I kind of look at him like, "You going to go?" Like, and he does. He throws a fast 1-2, one of the fastest 1-2s that I've copped, and he shoots on me. And uh, it was just so explosive that it kind of took me off my feet. But um, yeah, I was scrambling, and I knew that within the scrambles that I'll be able to somehow find his neck, and it just came a lot easier than what I thought.
You talked about the level of opponents that you've been facing in the house. From my perspective, and just from what I knew about the fighters, the other fighters in the house, I did think you had a very hard heart of the half of the bracket. I think your side of the bracket was very difficult. Um, how did it go before you went in? You had an idea of who was going to be in there, and from what I had heard, there was some plans. You were like, okay, if I fight this guy, do this. Did the fights go how you thought they would?
I'm going to when this is all kind of said and done, I'm gonna bring out my playbook and I'm gonna show everyone my playbook. I'm gonna show you guys my notes, and you guys are gonna love it, because for the first fight, word for word. Second fight, word for word. And the third fight, it's gonna be word for word again. So and I'm speaking this into existence. I've had success twice with it now, and I'm gonna keep that same energy, and I'm gonna look to make it three and become the ultimate fighter. And I'm gonna show everyone my special playbook, and it's gonna be a super cool thing for you guys to see.
Absolutely called the shot. Uh, as I mentioned about, I think you had a very difficult half of the bracket. First off, no disrespect to anyone else in the house when I say that. But secondly, that's the interesting thing about TUF is that the best guy wins, but the second best guy could get eliminated earlier.
Mm.
Like case in point, like using you as an example, Rudy might be the second best guy in that house, but you've eliminated him. Do you think that you've already fought the other best guy in the house?
Um, well, I guess the other best guy in the house is going to be the one that's in the finale. And like I say, I always respect all my opponents. Uh, this is, this is like, again, when you have to be in it to understand, and what I'm trying to say is like someone could be really good at training, someone could be really good at hitting pads, someone could be really flamboyant and athletic. But a fight is different. It comes with nerves, it comes with build up, it comes with a weight cut, it comes with injuries within the fight where you have to adapt within the fight. I've had fights where I've lost vision in one eye and I've had to fucking make it work on the go. You know what I mean? Like you can't teach that. You can't train that in a training room. So it requires a special individual to have heart and will and many other things to be able to come away with the win. So and this, again, the fans and spectators. If you've never fought, you won't understand that. So, and that's what makes a fighter really special, especially a one that keeps winning or a champion.
Talking about after that win, as I said before, I analyzed it. I looked through it. I noticed the first person as you were walking back, you hugged, I think, Tom from your team, one of the middleweights. I was just wondering, did you have a specific like? Did you get along with him especially? Was he just the closest teammate?
Not necessarily. Yeah, it's just kind of how the show airs and plays. Like there was other fights on the day as well, so there was some people that weren't available to be in the crowd and whatnot. So, but he seemed to be, yeah, the one guy that was kind of cheering, and so yeah, he was just the first teammate that I saw. So, and obviously, in that moment, I was ready to hug and kiss anyone.
We talked about last time we spoke, we talked about the concept you make friends with the enemy a little bit because at
Mm.
some point that may have to happen. As the audience sees now, that may have to happen with you. But before we talk about having to fight your friends, let's talk about your friends. How was everyone in the house? How was getting along with everyone? Did both just in general, but also within the team?
The really cool thing about this experience is we as Team Grasso, we all kind of had like a little bit of a truce where we, instead of feeling like we were all fighting each other, we kind of said, you know what, we're a team. Let's experience this team versus team. And if something happened where we needed to fight each other, then it is what it is. And that's what you're gonna see with the next episode as well, with the next fight, uh Robbie and Paddy. where they were originally bunk bed buddies. You know, Robbie was sleeping on top bunk bed, and Paddy was down the bottom, and they were helping each other in training and laughing, eating, all that type of stuff. You know, and then all of a sudden they get picked to fight each other. You know, so. And I respect both of them because they were so friendly. They were so like they were like best mates up until the fight, you know, and then you're gonna see it in the fight. It's an amazing fight, you know, and I have respect for the both of them. So yeah, you know, and these are things that you can't again train in the gym and experience. So yeah, being able to experience that is pretty cool.
At what point through the competition, I'm not going to say the team breaks down, but like you stop training with each other because it begins to become more real. I might have to step across from you. At what
Yeah.
point do you stop training with the team?
Um, the way that our sessions were kind of planned and worked out, and everyone kind of had their own individual approach. You know, we all had the power to do however we wanted to prepare. Thankfully for Team Grasso, as for Team Shevchenko, they didn't really have a choice. They just had to do what they were told. So the fact that I had that luxury to be able to do what I wanted to do, I actually wasn't training with the guys in the room that much. You know, I wasn't really sparring or grappling with them too much. I was actually doing a lot of work with Coach Colin. He's an Olympic level wrestler and an MMA coach as well. And me and him really understood each other and really bonded. So I'm super thankful for his friendship and advice along the whole journey. So we still keep in contact, and I think we'll link up in the future. But and I did that because I didn't want to give away too much, you know, to any future potential opponents. So, uh, like I said, I came into this house knowing, or you know, with the possibility of absolutely fighting anybody. So I kept that same energy.
Now that the show has wrapped up, outside of the person that you are left to fight, whether that be your team or the opposition team, how is everyone? Do you still keep in contact with some of your housemates?
Yeah, Team Grass. So we do have like a group messenger where the boys kind of talk some banter and talk about you know what's happened on the episodes as they come out and whatnot. So yeah, we all kind of have that little relationship. Uh, yeah,
That's fair. I'm glad that everyone's keeping in
yeah,
contact.
yeah. No, it's all good.
Now, talking about the people you may have to fight, the last bracket is a teammate of yours, Santos and Ramaska. What do you? Obviously, as the audience, we don't know what's coming next. You obviously do. So, Khan, I'm gonna have to ask you to play a little bit of pretend here. I will ask you about one of them, and then I'll ask you about the other one. I'll start with Ramaska. If he is your opponent, what are your thoughts on him as a fighter?
Ramaska's a tough individual. You know, he's a finisher, you know what I mean? Like and if he's not finishing you, he's hurting you. Yeah. And like so with all the shots that he throws, the guy throws with intent. You know, he I believe he had an exemption to leave the military to actually do the show. So, you know, the guy that's his mentality, you know, I mean the guy's in war. So he's a tough fight for anybody. Anybody that comes across that guy's way, you know, expect the war. I still believe that I have a better all-rounded game than him. I believe that I've just got more skills and more experience than him. So, um, yeah. But you know, oh, one interesting thing about Ramaska. So I'm the Hex Featherweight champion, and I've also got a belt which I won in Belgium, the Bushido MMA belt. Come to find out that he's actually the lightweight champion of that promotion. So the Ultimate Fighter actually had the featherweight and lightweight champion of Bushido MMA. So that's something interesting. Yeah,
And we may see the unification bout.
kind of. Yeah, kind of. That could happen.
that fight happens, and if that fight happens and you win that fight, I'm sure that will be what you're most excited about. I'm sure you'll be like, finally, the double champ status for Bushido.
I'll claim it. I'll claim it. Yeah, the ultimate European champion.
Instagram bio updated.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, on the other aspect, Santos, a man who is your teammate. What are your thoughts on him as a fighter?
Santos is an all-rounded. He's a nice guy. He's young. He's talented. He's kind of, and he's what is he? He's like 13-1 officially, so he's got a pretty good record. I think he's probably got the best record out of everyone in the house. Yeah, we didn't train too much together, so and again, I was kind of focusing on my own preparation and my own fights, not really looking at my teammates and because I didn't really feel like I was in competition with them as we were preparing for our fights. But yeah, from what I know from him, he's talented. I feel like he's being marketed as the young Pereira, like a smaller version of a Pereira. So kind of looks like him too. So yeah, I don't have anything bad to say about him. He's talented, he's young, and if I was to fight him, I believe that I will beat him. I believe I'll beat any guy in whoever I face, either Ramaska or Myron. Um, I was prepared to fight anyone once I entered this competition. I wasn't prepared to make friends or anything like that. So I don't care who I fight. I'm coming to win the show and to become the ultimate fighter. So whoever steps in my way is gonna find out the hard way.
Being in the house, something I've noticed just through watching this season, uh, it felt like everyone was more respectful than there has been in previous seasons. There was little flare-ups where certain things happened, but in
Mm.
general, like there's a bunch of people of different races, ethnicities, and faiths, but everyone kind of seemed to get along. Was it like a respectful atmosphere in the house?
Yeah, I think there was definitely moments where people were being a little bit funny or maybe even a little bit of yeah. Strangeness. But overall, I think it shows the how the sport is evolving for MMA, and you can see how whoever was part of the show is UFC caliber level, and they're all professionals. Everyone was there to win, besides a couple that maybe got caught, with the drinking and maybe self-sabotaging a little bit, and that's them dealing with their own demons. But uh, put that aside, I think everyone was professional and is a very high level fighter.
Obviously, as you just kind of touched on it there, maybe they're dealing with their own stuff. But in the show, you've talked about it, how much the opportunity to be on tough. It's weird. I don't know if I say meant or means to you because it's not done yet, but you are out of the house. Um, but when you're in the house and this is, at so far in your career, this is everything you've been working towards, and you're sitting next to a guy who's like drinking heavily. Like, what are your thoughts?
Uh, for me, it just kind of confirms my level again. You know what I mean? Like these guys aren't prepared. Like I came in prepared to win this show. So when I see things like that, I'm just like, I was kind of sad to be honest, because I was like, man, like really, like we've got this amazing opportunity, and you can't put the bottle down. You know what I mean? You can't put this down or whatever down. Like, and everyone's got something. You know what I mean? And everyone's got some issue. Everyone's got some sort of something they have to deal with. But this is 5 weeks of your life. Uh, like, mate, you know what I mean? Like, make the most of it. So when I saw that, to me, I was just like, oh, that's pretty disappointing, But again, I'm not going to get caught up in that. That's his life. That's their decisions. I'm a champion, and I know what it takes to win.
I know I said just before that everyone seemed respectful, but I would be amiss if not to ask about that night that guy pulled that knife. What was that like for you in the house?
That was low key, like pretty serious, bro, because this guy just got knocked out, and then obviously when you get knocked out for anyone, it's a hard pill to swallow. It almost comes with depression immediately, and he was a striker as well, versing a grappler. So in his mind, he was like, "Nah, like this guy's gonna grapple me," and then he ends up getting knocked out by him. So all these things are running through his head, and I guess he tries to deal with it by drinking, which is not a good combination. You don't go through a knockout or a concussion followed by drinking alcohol. Is just a disaster to play out. So and it was brewing, as the night got later, I could hear his voice in the backyard getting louder and louder, and I was like, okay. And yeah, like when they did show that, the audience can't actually see the two knives in his hand, but he actually comes out with two knives. And he was an ex-military as well, so that made it a bit more scary because this guy is actually skilled to take out somebody. um but my initial reaction was just to deal with it, you know what I mean? So I kind of stood up and was like, "Hey, bro, like calm down," you know what I mean? Like we're on fucking TV. You don't want to kill someone on on live television. So but I think immediately he kind of thought twice and put it down, and he turned it into a joke, but it wasn't a joke.
He nearly went full John Wick.
Full on. And like no, I don't think many of us slept that night because uh the way that the Tough House works is you don't have your door. So there's no doors on your bedroom. It's all free access. So yeah, it was an interesting night for most people. And I didn't really have much to worry about, but I guess Robert, maybe that's why Robert was sleeping outside. Maybe he felt a little bit safer outside.
Yeah. It's got nothing to do with me, man. I'm a featherweight. That's a
Yeah,
middle
oh,
that's a
hey, it's not
middleweight
my, yeah.
problem.
If you want to stab him, bro, you stab him. It's got nothing to do with me.
You keep those problems up at that weight class. Don't bring them down here. Talking about Robert, if I'm not mistaken, Khan, let's be honest. I was watching the show because there was an Aussie on it, so I don't know all the characters. I've watched every episode. Robert's the gentleman with the rune tattoos.
Yes.
Cool, just making sure. I thought it was, but I just wanted to 100% check. He kind of took on an interesting role throughout the show, where he goes from being contestant to almost like secondary coach. What was going on with that?
Um, I think that's just Robert being Robert. He's a very out there guy. He's an entertainer. You know what I mean? He knows what he needs to do, and he does it well.
Did he ever give you any particular advice?
He did actually. Yeah, he gave me some advice on some things with social media and YouTube and whatnot. The guy's doing a lot of interesting stuff outside of fighting. I just saw that he was in a pretty cool movie as a stuntman, or not as a stuntman, as an actual actor. I saw some behind the scenes of him doing some fighting scenes, which looked actually like really realistic and cool. So I'm pretty happy for him. We had a few conversations in the house with what we would like to do outside of the house, and he was in Bali actually recently. He came to visit me, so we trained together and we hanged out a little bit.
Talking about YouTube and such, before the last time I spoke to you, you talked about launching that. Since then, you have launched it. How are you finding the content creation aspect of being a fighter?
I'm really thankful for this whole tough experience because it's made me so much more confident in front of the camera. Uh, and as well as the YouTube and that, so it doesn't feel like it's a burden anymore. I feel like I can just be myself and be confident, and however people want to take it, they can take it. But I am me, and I don't. I might try and be a little bit extra at some points in my life, and that's most likely Genghis, not me. That's my alter ego when it comes to fight time. But when it's not fight time, I'm myself. I'm humble. I've got a bit of humor. I like food. I like traveling, and I want to be able to share that with the world a little bit more. Yeah, we did a few episodes, but things got a little bit busy, so we slowed down a little bit. But we've already recorded a few episodes that are kind of waiting to be uploaded. So, and there'll be plenty more coming up.
Excellent. I'm glad to hear that it's going well and it's enjoyable. We were talking about preparation and such. You posted a photo recently. Simon Carson had made the flight over to Bali, along with I think some other the boys from Absolute, if I'm not mistaken. How was it
Yes,
to see the Absolute crew again?
yes, it was really refreshing. It was really nice. I've been with Simon Carson for an Absolute MMA for the last 6 years, so he's had a really big impact on my career. Obviously, all my fights have been going really good, and I've got a lot of respect for that man, for what he does as a coach, but also what he does in his personal life as a father, as a businessman, as a role model. So I've got a lot of respect for that guy, and yeah, I asked him if he could come and help me. And obviously he's got a huge, busy schedule, but he was able to take out the time and come out for a week or so and help me game plan and strategize for my next fight.
When you are in a position of two gyms, essentially, you've got the backing of Absolute as well as Block. How do you decide, like, what's the corner going to be like for your next fight?
Um, the corner, Simon will be in my corner. There will be Dorian Price will be in my corner. He's actually he's going to be a new addition to the team. He is a new addition to the team, I should say. He's a man, a wealth of knowledge. You can look him up. He's got guys ready for 30 UFC fights and was Matt Brown's head striking coach. So me and Matt Brown have been linked up and we're working together. So that's going to be an interesting little uh, unification into the team or addition to the team. And I've still got guys like Gianni Suba and Matt Polino, and obviously Ian Larios has been a massive help for me too regarding my weight and my performance. And I've got a few training partners from Absolute MMA too, helping me out.
I know, as I mentioned at the top of the interview, this is the first day of people knowing. So I know it's all fresh. So I understand if hasn't been too much of a change. But when you come back into coaching, you're in the BJJ class. How are the students reacting? Where they're like, "Oh my God, you're in the finale of the Ultimate Fighter."
Yeah, I've been having chats with all the students today since it's happened. On social media, but also in person as well. And I've actually stepped away from coaching a little bit because I always do when I'm in fight camp. I like to focus solely 100% on the task at hand. So I try to minimize my workload so I can train more or recover more. But yeah, everyone's now like, oh, cat's out the bag type of thing. You're in the finals, you know what I mean? So everyone's even more excited now, if anything. So yeah, man, it's just this is like a dream, come true, and I'm just living my dream.
We were just talking about training and such. Training with Grasso and her team. How had that differed compared to the training you've gotten on the outside world?
Yeah, like I wasn't there to learn anything new, and I think the good thing is they were aware of that as well. Like they've got a short period of time to work with the fighters, so they were mature enough to know that we just got to get these guys ready to fight. You know what I mean? We just got to sharpen and fix what they do, or just help let the guys do what they do best. You know what I mean? And I still did learn a few little things from Coach Colin regarding the wrestling aspect, which has been super valuable. But yeah, it was more so just doing the pad work, having the reflexes, the reactions, the game plan, the strategy, rather than learning new things.
Now, Khan, I asked this. This may be a touchy subject. I'm not asking for a number. However, something when TUF first came around those many years ago was the selling point of it was that fighters were fighting for a six-figure contract. And I've always wondered if that has stayed the same. I'm not asking for a number, but is the contract you're fighting for, do you know if it's six figures still, or did they drop that?
I don't really know. Like when they say six figures, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're receiving that amount straight up. It could be divided across many fights. So I think that's where people get confused a little bit. Look, I wish that I was going to be getting a few $100,000 straight, in a bag, but I don't think that's the way things work. Unfortunately, I could be wrong, and even if that does happen, I won't be telling anyone.
That is, hand you a burlap sack with a money sign on it.
Exactly. No, but no, it's yeah, it's usually whenever they talk about, six-figure contract or this like that, it's usually across a few fights.
Of course. 6 figures over 6 fights. You were getting $10,000 a fight.
Yeah, that's the reality of the sport, but let's not go there.
Hey, that's where you are now, and then you'll build up.
Exactly, exactly. It's just a stepping stone from here.
Not to look too far ahead, because of course, I know you have your eyes absolutely fixed on your future opponent, and you're not looking past him. But you've mentioned about how you are Hex Featherweight champion, Bushido champion. Uh, where do you keep the belts?
I've got the belts here with me. I've got my Bushido belt at my mum's house. Give her something to remember me and feel like there's still a world champion inside the house. And my Hex Featherweight belt, which means a lot to me, is with me.
Do you know where you would put the plaque for Ultimate Fighter?
Plaque. It'll either be in my house or it'll be in the office at the gym at the block.
It's a difficult one, isn't it? Because you can kind of imagine where you put a belt, but it is just a big slab of glass that they give you.
Yeah, it's pretty big too, actually. Um, yeah, it's an interesting piece of trophy.
Not to rewind the clock way back, but I don't know if you'll even remember this. After the first time I interviewed you, we continued chatting and we talked about trades and how we had worked trades before. What trade did you work before you had went all in on fighting?
I've done a few. I was a bricklayer for 4 years. I did demolition work, and I had my own business fixing washing machines.
Oh wow, okay. How the washing machine thing come to be?
Uh, it's not really something that I'm proud to talk about, but I guess, the young audience or the young up and comers should listen to this because it's never easy. I've been working multiple jobs. These jobs that I've just explained to you was on top of coaching and it was on top of training. So, I never had it easy. No one gave me a handout or anything like that. Yeah, I did bricklaying from my first job was basically a bricklayer, a laborer, and I did that for 4 years. And I believe that's actually given me a lot of the strength that I've actually got now. A bunch of different construction work, a chippy, a concreter, demolition, and the washing machine thing came about. uh, one of the girlfriends that I had when I was young, her uncle was doing the business, and he basically said, "Hey, like let me teach you this trade." And I essentially learned how to do it, and I started my own business. So I was able to balance my training life a little bit more because I was essentially just accepting jobs and advertising on Google and going and fixing people's dirty washing machines.
I know you said it's something you're not necessarily proud of. I don't think there's anything to be ashamed of there, but
Well,
nonetheless,
look, I did well for myself. Like I was actually that was the most amount of money that I ever made, and while still training twice a day and coaching. It was the first time I was actually being able to afford my own rent and live out of home for there was about maybe like a year and a half, 2 years period. So I was actually pretty comfortable until I was just like, absolutely fuck this job. I went to a few people's houses and it was disgusting. There was rats, there was shit on the ground. And I was just like, fuck this. Like, I'm not fucking fixing no one's fucking dirty washing machines. I hated the job. And even though it was bringing me money, it wasn't bringing me happiness. And, yeah, I was kind of shy to talk about it, but I'm not really shy to talk about anything anymore. And people should know that, like, what someone may need to go through or what someone may need to do to be able to follow their dreams.
I appreciate you talking about it. Even though, as I said, I don't think there's anything. Dog in the background, is that Sweet Potato?
That is sweet potato. That will be.
Are you at the, that's what I wanted to ask before. Are you at your friend's house or is this your place?
No, no, I'm at my friend's house. I still don't have enough cash to be able to move out into my own place. So, my friend, yeah, he's amazing. He's allowing me to stay in his place, and he's actually just left back to Australia. So, and he travels so much, so we've kind of got a little arrangement where I look after Sweet Potato and he's into martial arts and all that, so we get along. He's yeah, he's honestly he's helped me so much, and he's given me the space to even be able to transition into Bali.
Fantastic. I'm glad to hear that. The reason I brought up the trades thing, by the way, was I was just going to make a joke about when you lift the plaque, it might feel like you're lifting a brick again. That's all that was.
Well, that led it into something else for people to know about me. So,
Of course.
um,
Well,
yeah,
I think it's important for people to know that this doesn't happen
yeah,
overnight. You don't put your
Mm,
hand up and go, "I'll be in the tough house," and then they send you in.
yeah, exactly.
As a gentleman who has spent time extensively on Team Grasso, and then I don't know how often you saw the other team, but those two will be fighting at the Sphere. That is coming up. What are your thoughts on that fight? If you have any thoughts on that fight.
It's pretty interesting, eh? Like, it's the third time they're fighting. First fight, obviously, it was a close fight, and then Grasso snatching up her neck in the last round, and then the second fight being a draw. So it yeah, it puts a lot of interest into this fight and how this fight's gonna go. Obviously, I've got Team Grasso. You know what I mean? Like I'm Team Grasso, and Alexa was so helpful, in the show, and we still, we're in contact. We still chat every now and then, and as well as her whole team, Colin, Diego as well, even though he's a featherweight. I've got a lot of respect for him. I really like that guy. I hope that we don't need to cross paths in the future. If we have to, then I'm sure we'll man it out and we'll punch each other in the face. But that whole crew, they're amazing. They're like family. So yeah, I've got Team Grasso, and yeah, look, Valentina, she's a warrior too, man. She's probably got some records that she holds, for being such a dominant woman in her division. But I do believe that she's at the end of her career, and yeah, what I've been seeing from Alexa is pretty amazing, and I feel like she's on a new level right now, and she's gonna win.
You bring up Diego Lopez there. The last time we spoke, I believe you talked about Ilia Topuria's brother. And I didn't really ask a follow up with that. What beef have you got with Ilia Topuria's brother?
The guy is, I just don't like him. I just feel like he's fake, and I feel like he's been given a handout, and I don't respect anyone that's been given an easy path, because I've had the opposite. I've had to grind my whole way. I've had to have these fucking ugly jobs. I've had to have all sorts of adversity in my life. I've been given, dealt with some interesting cards in my life, and I stayed true to my sport. I stayed true to myself, and I was disciplined. And I had my debut 12 years ago, so there's not a lot of people that last that long in this sport. So the fact that your brother is a UFC champion and you've got the same tattoos as him, and makes you think that you can now be a UFC fighter, I don't like that, and I'm gonna smash him if I get a chance.
You mentioned the 12 years. If you standing here today could talk to yourself 12 years ago at the start of this whole journey, what do you think you would tell yourself?
Um, yeah, that that life's a journey, life's a roller coaster. No matter what you're doing in life, fighting or not fighting, there is no such thing as always up. There's no always good days every single day. You're gonna have some bad days. You're gonna get sick. You're gonna get tired. You're gonna lose money. You're gonna win money, and that's just the way that this world is. Again, like whatever you do in this world, whatever profession you're in, uh, life's like a wave. It's always up and down, roller coaster, and I think we just have to always focus on the positives, and see the light at the end of the tunnel.
That's absolutely fantastic advice that anyone could take a lot from, and I appreciate you for sharing that. Two final questions from me, a little bit more on the light-hearted side, not to take focus off the job that's ahead of you. But the same episode that aired today, showing your victory, also had the coach's challenge. Grasso didn't do fantastic in the basketball. Are you any good at basketball?
Better than her. Plus, when there's money on the line, bro, you see my skills shine, you know. So I would have made a bit more of an effort, but no, it's all good, Alexa.
And at the end of that episode, finally, after Valentina took her team out seemingly every week, it is shown in the next episode you guys get to go out and enjoy yourselves a little bit. How was playing golf?
uh, it was fun. I felt like that was the first time ever playing golf or hitting a golf ball, and surprisingly, I did okay on some shots. But yeah, that's not my sport. Thankfully, I'm good at smashing people's heads in.
It does well for you, and that's all that really matters when you really think about it. Khan, Khan, I thank you so much for the time. It really is always a pleasure. Between
It always
now
is.
and the date that has yet to be announced, but I assume it's soon, what is kind of on the cards for you?
Look, it's nothing different from me. It's always evolving, training. You know, hopefully be planning my wedding soon. There's a few other things that I'm working on outside of fighting as well, which hopefully I'll be able to share with the world in the near future. But I'm in a really good place in my life right now, and I'm looking to level up in all aspects.
Fantastic. I'm very happy to hear that. If I can ask, what is the wedding plans at the moment?
No wedding plans at the moment. I got to get cashed up first. Dana's got to give me a 50K bonus so I can spend a little bit of it on my wedding. But it will most likely be in Bali, and I'd like to invite all my friends and family there.
I feel like I may have heard your fiance in the corner there laughing at you, perhaps.
She's saying something. I don't know what she's saying.
I don't know. I started an argument.
No, we're already, yeah. She's saying that we're already married. So don't.
Oh,
Yes. Yeah.
my
Yeah. Yeah.
apologies. Mrs.
Yeah.
Offley is in the corner correcting me. I do apologize.
We just need the wedding.
No, yeah, we just need to do the celebration. We're already married. Yeah, so when I say we're doing the wedding, it's a celebration party that we're missing.
All right. Well, my apologies for that. I hope that all goes well. Khan, I thank you so much for the time. You have your country behind you. You have your people behind you. Best of luck in the finale. Thank you so much for the time, my friend.
Thank you, my brother. Always a pleasure.